Welcome to the Sales Rep Playbook. So we are going to be discussing how the playbook is broken down. And for starters, we're really only going to let the first 100 people into this program. I'm going to put that up here. And the reason for that is as we develop this program over time, it's going to get better. We're going to get better at it. And we need to make sure that we have the right people in this program. So this program is really it's for people that are looking for a track to run on and structured training in medical sales that's specific to what we do on a daily basis. And really, you're trying to get that. You need that from the right people. There are a lot of people out there that you could choose from to take sales advice from, or marketing or business development advice from, but really you need it from somebody that's in medical sales, that's currently doing it, and that can stay with you over the long term, because healthcare field's changing constantly. So that's really what you need. You need somebody that's out in front doing it, and that's willing to share that with you. So that's what this program is built for. Really, I designed it for that, but more importantly, I wasn't raised in a very well-to-do family, but fortunately, I came across people that were willing to share their lives with me. They were willing to share what it took for them to be successful. And I hope that I can share that with other people, if that's you. People that are good people willing to put in the work, they just need a little bit of direction, or they want some structured training on how to go from A to B in medical sales. Again, it's about a hand up, not a handout. So that's really ultimately why I built this. It's for those people because I know those people are out there. So if that's you, consider signing up for this program. It's broken down into 3 steps here. We're going to focus curriculum 101, 201, and 301. Within these, it's a stepwise portion. I think of Charlie Munger. He says, step by step you get ahead, but not necessarily in fast spurts. You have people that want to go 0 to 100 here. They want to go 101, 201, 301, boom. Or they want to skip 1 and 2 and then go all the way to 3. And that can't happen. And that's, part of the problem with the educational system in America. If it worked perfectly, what that would be is you would have to get A's every time. You shouldn't be able to advance until you have mastered the material, because every step adds complexity and nuances. And if you don't have the base prior to that, it doesn't matter. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to struggle. So that's really why it's important that we go through each of these. So let me break that down really quick for you. Curriculum 101 is all about developing your knowledge. And when I say developing your knowledge, I mean specific to medical sales. So that means, do you know what the difference between an MD, a DO, and a DPM are? Because chances are, depending on which company you're with, you're going to be working primarily with one of those 3 physicians. There are some other specialties you might deal with, but that's going to be the majority of it. So what do those MD, DO, DPM, what do they stand for? What do they mean? What specialties are they? What do I need to be thinking about when I'm having sales conversations with them or I'm interacting with them? So that's part of it. We're going to go into kind of the basics of selling, theory of psychology. One of the big things that we're going to do is that we'll talk about are the 25 cognitive biases. And so this is marketing 101, well, not 101, but advanced marketing, and it comes from Charlie Munger, the 25 cognitive biases. And you have to know those if you're really going to understand people and what motivates them. So that's going to be one of the things that we cover in this one. We're also going to be talking, anatomy, physiology, procedures, and one of the other big ones is operating room etiquette. If you're signing up for this program, chances are you are interested in working for, or you do work for, a company that sells products into the operating room. There is an appropriate way to handle yourself there. I have seen people act so inappropriate, they don't last long in this business. So you need to understand, how am I supposed to act? What is acceptable here in the operating room? How do I handle myself when I go into a hospital or into a surgery center? How do I handle myself in those environments to make myself stand out and be successful? So that's going to be 101. That's really That's the fundamentals right there that is going to help you advance in your career. Curriculum 201 is going to be on the focusing on developing your skills. So when we talk about developing your skills, what are we talking about? We're talking, how about your sales pitch? How's your sales pitch? What does that need to look like? What's the difference between your kind of 30-second pitch or you have a couple minutes with a surgeon? What does that look like? What do you need to be focused on, and how can we help you develop that? Follow up. How do you follow up with customers? What do you say? What do you do? How do you close a deal? How do you really ask for the business from the surgeon or physician or the account? How do you do that? The other big one is, how do you practice, right? How do you practice sales? I think of professional athletes. Let's take basketball, for example. It's the NBA playoffs right now. What they say is that champions are made in the off season. What does that mean? Well, that means that it's practice that's going to make you a champion. And I've heard it said that it's very expensive to practice in games, or practice on your dime, or practice during work. If you're not training beforehand, before you're going into game situation, before you're going in to speak with the customer, if you haven't practiced what you're going to say, you're going to struggle. I think of, it might be my favorite quote of all time, and I don't remember, I think it was Tim Ferriss, but I don't recall for sure. I think I read it through him, but I'm not 100% on that. It says, how does it go? It says, we do not rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training. Because when we go into stressful, high anxiety environments, which is every sales interaction, and when you walk in the operating room, that's high stress, high anxiety environment. We're going to fall to the level of our training. We're not going to excel to the level of our expectations. We fall to our training level. And so really, how do you practice this? How do you make yourself so prepared that even when you're in a high anxiety, high pressure situation, how are you still able to perform? One of the other big things here is competitors. How do you deal with competitors? How do you sell against them? One of the biggest separators from average sales reps to really good sales reps is this. Anybody can learn products and procedures. Anybody can learn the specifics, features, and benefits of products, right? That's really not what we're compensated for, so to speak. We are compensated on getting results, you and I, right? Because I'm VP of sales. I'm in sales every single day. I do this for a living. And if I don't know my competitors, how do I sell against them? If I know surgeon A is using somebody else's product, how do I sell my product against theirs if I don't know the ins and outs of them? And it's a lot easier to say than it is to do. And so what this makes me think of, there's a good book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's a classic. I believe it's a Chinese, ancient Chinese war book and a war general. And my favorite quote from that book is, if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you need not fear 100 battles. If you know yourself and you do not know your enemy, for every battle won, you'll lose one. And if you don't know yourself and you don't know your enemy, every battle you will lose. So what it says is, you might get lucky making a sale with a surgeon if you know your own products. But if you don't know the competitor products, every sale that you make, you're going to lose a sale, or you're going to lose the next opportunity. But if you know yourself and you know your competitor, you need not fear 100 battles. So every time you walk into a sales interaction with a surgeon or one of your customers and you know the competitor, you have no fear, because you know exactly how your product stands out against theirs. You know exactly which buttons to press to sell your product over theirs. So that's just huge. That's huge. Curriculum 301 is all about the next step. and it's about developing your territory. So you can see here, it's stepwise progression. Step by step, you get ahead. Not necessarily in fast spurts, Charlie Munger. Step by step, you get ahead. So you got to go knowledge. You got to get the foundation. Then we're going to develop the skills. Then we're going to develop the territory. So what does that look like in 301? Developing the territory is all about how do you stay at the top of your game for a long period of time? How do you hire people correctly? How do you train them? How do you develop those reps? Because that's so big. So rep development. And when I say rep development, I mean the associates that you have under you. Because usually once you get to a territory, you're going to have one associate. Maybe not right away, but when you bring somebody on, hopefully your business is going to continue to grow and develop. You're going to need people under you. How do you develop them? How do you deal with them? Another big thing is the landscape of healthcare is changing constantly. So one of the big things are, relationships. And it sounds kind of old school, developing relationships, right? But the reason that it's not is that the scope of our industry, the scope of healthcare, and who the decision makers are is totally different from 10 years ago. So, for example, right, I was with a surgeon the other day, and we're selling him a product. We're trying to get him on one of our products versus the competitor. He says, awesome, can I use this at the facility that I go to? And my answer was, not yet. Why is that? Because there are people involved in the decision-making process of what is allowed in the facility that they're controlling if I can sell a product to a surgeon or not. Like, even if I get a yes from a surgeon, is my product approved at the facility to be used, right? So there's a catch-22 there of, yeah, we'll get into that. But relationships, I mean, that's a big deal. And kind of related to that are VAC committees, right? I think there's 2 T's. So value analysis committees. These are groups that are trying to standardize the purchase and acquisition of products. And so you have a group of, and they average 7 people. So the average VAC committee is 7 people. And they are going to be the final say on what products are allowed in the facility and what products are used and which one and vendors are preferred vendors. If you don't know who those people are, how are you going to sell your products? Doesn't matter if the surgeon likes you. Doesn't matter if the surgeon wants your product. If these people say, it's not going to happen, you're not going to get that product in there. So, that is really, once we're at this step, you're going to be doing well, but that's really it's going to be all about how do I stay at the top of my game? How do I develop a territory? What are the things I need to think about? If you're here, if you're an associate rep that's considering it, or you want to get into medical sales, you don't need to worry about VAC committees yet. You don't need to worry about training people. You don't need to worry about the specifics of running a territory, of the strategic numbers that you need to be looking at, on how to keep competitors out, right? You don't need to necessarily focus deep on your skills yet. We need the base knowledge. Then we'll go skills, and then we'll go territory. And it has to be in that order. It has to be. It's not going to work the other way around. You're going to struggle. So really, that's in essence what this program is all about. We're going to have, trainings. It's going to be some written. It's going to be some audio. It's going to be some video. We have testing for you to make sure that hey, do you know your anatomy? Do you know what this muscle or tendon or bone does? And how do we fix it, right? We're going to have routine calls, live calls that you can be on, that are going to help you stay with the program and be able to answer any of the questions that you may have as you're going through. Obviously, you can email us directly if you have any questions throughout the program. But really, it's all about results here, guys and gals. If you're not wanting to get results in a quick amount of time. Like, that's what this is all about. It's all about, how do I take somebody from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time? I think back to myself as an early associate rep. I don't think I was ready to run a territory, to run my own business for probably 2 years in this business. So I had good managers. I had good territory managers above me. I had very little training. I had no sales training, really. And it took me about 2 years to where I felt competent that I could run a business. I could run a territory. How would my life be different if that took 1 year? What if I had a program like this that compressed how long it took me to get to the point where, yeah, I feel ready to do this. And I can communicate that to my superiors that, hey, I'm ready for the next level. If that's you, I would consider doing something like this, whether it's this program or another. Compress that time. Because the cost of one of these programs, or mine or somebody else's, it's nothing compared to you going to the next level. When you go from an associate to a territory manager, your income skyrockets, right? The cost of this program would be, less than a month, you'd pay it off, right? So it's all about advancing yourself quickly. How do you make yourself better? How do you make yourself more valuable? How do you decrease the time it takes for you to learn these things that you have to learn, right? That's what this is all about. It's all about compressing that time and getting you to the next level as quickly as possible. So if that makes sense to you guys, if that's what you would be interested in, if that's what you're looking for, then I would urge you to consider this program. And beware, just a heads up, first 100 people. So if you're after 100, I think down the line, we'll obviously open it up again for other people, but we're just gonna keep it to the first 100 until we have everything up and rolling and it's a well-oiled machine. So if you want to get in, if this is something you want to do now, go for it. Don't wait on that. If you're unsure, don't make a decision today. That's fine. If you come back later, it might be closed, but at some point in the future, I'm sure we'll open it up again. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly. There should be a contact form probably on this page below you. And so reach out if you have any thoughts or comments or questions. Again, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you get into the program and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was, or I'm not going to be able to use this, this isn't going to help me advance as quickly as I want to, or maybe I'm looking for something else, send it back to us. 30-day money-back guarantee. And I'm not looking to keep your money. I don't deserve your money, your hard-earned money, if it's not making you better ultimately. So if this isn't going to give you the results you're looking for, I don't deserve your money anyway. So keep that in mind. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee on this. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully see you soon. Thanks.